Well, good afternoon and welcome back to Small Changes, Big Shifts. I actually could keep this conversation going without all of you, but it's so much fun. I wanted to make sure I included you today. So once again, welcome to Small Changes, Big Shifts. Very rarely do I invite somebody to be on my show for a third time, but today I invited Dr. Amit Sood, who is just funny, kind, lots of wisdom. And I was sharing with him that when I was working on this kindness campaign, we talked about Dr. Sood, and he's actually on day 7. So Dr. Sood, I'm going to read day 7 now because I've not told you what it's about. So the day 7 was about our greatest freedom is the freedom to choose your attitude, Viktor Frankl. That was the quote of the day. The kindest act of the day was think positive thoughts about everyone. And I talk about the first time I interviewed you on Small Changes, Big Shifts. And what I heard you say, you probably didn't say it exactly this way, but you shared how you kind of sprinkle people throughout the day when you're walking through, at that time, through the halls of Mayo Hospital and blessing people. And it just really has set with my soul. So thank you for joining me again.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Michelle. Thank you all for connecting today and investing your precious time. So, my brain is hungry for uplifting emotions every 1.5 to 2 hours. And I start off feeling depleted and fatigued. So, and one of the strongest source of uplifting emotion is kindness. And kindness experienced, kindness shared. And I think one of the easiest ways to bring kindness to your life is to share it with somebody, because when you share, you create it within you, which then you keep with you. And so sending silent good wishes to people, doing random acts of kindness, connecting with someone who you feel is struggling, who is struggling with self-worth, talking to someone who you feel is lonely, all are those actions that they will uplift you, and remembering those actions. Now, if you're feeling on an evening, if it's really dreary and you're feeling tired, then just remind yourself of your previous acts of kindness and you'll become happier.
Well, we would be totally off topic if we didn't talk about the stress and anxiety that have been going on around the last 24 hours in the US of A. And what I love about you is you're doing a lot of work around resilience. So how can people have resilience during this time? And then I'm going to say this time and then this time.
Yeah. So the first part of resilience is to recognize and understand these struggles we are having. So just saying that, oh, this doesn't matter or whatever, we'll be through it, is sort of putting cold water on it. I think recognizing, accepting our vulnerability and our challenge and having compassion for ourselves and others is the first and important part of resilience. But then through any challenge, after you've identified it and accepted it, you say, how can I find a tangible solution for it? And see, there are some challenges for which you have immediate solution. If you have a thorn in your finger, you remove the thorn. But this, particularly the pandemic, has come to us from outside, and this is overwhelming anybody. This is excessive loss of control that we're just overwhelmed with. So in that situation, you take care of yourself. So what I am doing is, from a logistical perspective, I'm trying to enhance my well-being. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting good micronutrients. I'm sleeping well. I'm exercising. I'm focusing on relationships, doing something creative. And then the third part is reframing, in the sense looking at the long term. We're planning what can we do in 2021. We're planning Thanksgiving, how will we spend that, and Christmas. And so you zoom out a little bit. It's almost like when you're on dental chair getting dental work, you don't want to be zooming in, you want to be zooming out. So that's what we're doing. We're zooming out. We're trying to do the best we can to stay healthy while helping each other and helping ourselves, acknowledging the current challenges.
Okay, let me see if I got it. So acknowledge, take action, reframe.
Yep, those are the 3 steps to stress management. Identify, eliminate, reframe. Identify the problem, whatever you can do to fix it. But if it is not fixable, then try to think about it differently. Those are the 3 things you can do in sequence.
Well, great. So, hey, so what have you been up to? You're doing a lot with the word resilience. This show's called Small Changes, Big Shifts, Building Rhythm and Resilience. And part of where that came about, because my tagline used to be put the odds in your favor, just like putting your seatbelt on. And I kept hearing the words with the first couple weeks of this COVID experience of, Michelle, you've got to find a rhythm to have some resilience. So tell me what you're doing with the word resilience and what you've been up to.
With resilience, so we are focusing on three main areas. One is emotional resilience, two is immune resilience, and three is resilience amongst children. With emotional resilience, we have a online resilient option program. So we are offering it for free to anyone who wishes to use it. So if you go to resilientoption.com, use resilience100 as the coupon, you can access it for life for free. And we're working with a number of individuals, groups, companies, hospitals, health systems, Fortune 100 companies, government agencies to bring emotional resilience piece for their employees, and training trainers to deliver more of these programs. When it comes to immune resilience, so early in the pandemic, I realized that we really need to find ways to bolster our immune system. And I personally know two families now, very close, related families, who have lost one family member from COVID-19, while everybody else in the family is doing okay. So clearly there is something with the immune system. So we've developed a 8-week program to enhance immune resilience, where you have an intelligent immune system that fights the virus but does not fight you. And the third part is we're working with elementary school students to help them with BFF, which is breathing, focusing, feeling, and that's how helping their resilience and their emotions through what we call Happy Genius, Happy with an I, Happy Genius program. Those are the three things, and along the way we've created a few apps and such, and it has been busy time. I wish this was never needed, but I know this is needed. I know these are tough times, but I think if we can carry ourselves through this and an effective vaccine arrives, then I'm hoping we'll look back at these moments and look at these as moments of strength, not as that of weakness.
I want to talk about that word resilience and continue to talk about that and back up and talked about, we like to celebrate, guide, connect, which provide hope on this show. So I'm celebrating you. I'm celebrating you for the conversation that we had about 3 years ago. Maybe I'm looking at the date of that. That was number 6, and we're on episode 200 something today. And so that's the last time we talked. So wow. About 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And we're celebrating you. You've given us some guidance already. We're going to give people more guidance give them some tools of how to get through these fascinating times that we're in. And I want to tell you, I thought we were in fascinating times before. It's just that we've had gasoline thrown on a fire. And we really want to give people tools to connect with you. And you just offered something really wonderful. So here's resilientoption.com. What was the code again?
Resilience100.
Resilience100. We'll put that in the show notes as well for all of you to consider joining that for yourself and for your kids. And then, of course, provide hope. And so thank you for doing that today. I want to talk about your apps. You glossed over those just a second. Zizo and Mood Candy. Talk about your two apps.
So Zizo, or Z-I-Z-O, it comes from an acronym, Zoom In, Zoom Out. So this is a different kind of Zoom. So this is a resilience practice where, and I'm using that a lot in this pandemic. So if my present moment is challenged, I try to zoom out. So if I'm getting dental work, I zoom out and think about what I will do next week. But if I'm getting colonoscopy next Monday, then I zoom in. So I try to place my attention where it is most nurturing. So that is the Zizo practice. So we've created Zizo as a character who can be your personal resilience assistant. And Zizo offers you every insight I have written based on neuroscience and our resilience works. We have about 2,000 insights. So Zizo offers you resilience insights that are actionable. And then you earn some coins, and you can get immune resilience course for free and resilient option course for free. It's all free. Zizo is, there's no cost to it. There's nothing hidden, etc. We do not have to collect your emails. None of those things. The other one is Mood Candy. So Mood Candy offers you on-demand uplifting emotions. So mood candy asks you, how do you want to feel today? Do you want to feel hopeful or loving or calmer? And based on what you select, it offers you candies of uplifting emotions. And those are, lollipops of meditation. Those are jelly beans of quotes, and then there are insights. So those are bubble gums insights. So those 3 types of candies, and we'll keep building content there. So those are 2 apps. Both are free, and they're just to help people.
So many tools. I feel like you're having fun. We got on the call, Joy, I think you said you're working with your daughter. You just feel happy.
I'm having fun with sadness. I am finding meaning in this work, but I'm sad to see so many of us struggling. So to tell that I am just, joyous and jumping with joy, that is not my state of mind, because when I see so much optional suffering in the world, suffering that can be helped, it calls me to work harder. It does dampen a little bit of my personal joy. That's my honest feeling. I'm finding a lot of meaning, and I think I'm in a state of flow, but I'm sad at the same time.
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm not sure I've heard optional and suffering together.
Yeah, so a lot of suffering is optional, and it comes with how the brain is designed. So, for example, when you step on a nail, or another example is, let's say you put up your house for sale, and it's for 200,000. Someone bids 180, other person bids 220. You'll believe the 220 bid, right? Now, if you give a presentation and 2 people rate you, one gives you a score of 9, the other gives you a score of 3, you're going to believe or think about the score of 3. So when it comes to your home, you believe the highest bidder. When it comes to you, you believe the lowest bidder or lowest evaluation. So that is our negativity bias, and we shouldn't do that. So we let people who shouldn't be in the story of our life write the title of our story, and that is optional suffering. And that is because of our brain's negativity bias. We are obsessed with preserving our emotional body, and that's why we really pay more attention to people who do not believe in us, which is not what we should be doing.
I'm a big quote nerd, and it makes me think of a quote that's helped me so many times the last 30 years throughout my career, and it says, "Don't let the negative few affect the positive many." And it's kind of like seeing 20 patients and all of a sudden one's not getting better, and that's all you can be fixated on. Would you say that's optional suffering?
To some extent, if as a physician, if one of my patient is not getting better, I will fixate on that patient because I want to help them. But if it's more frivolous, like if I don't get as many kudos, like if on Amazon.com, if you give 3 or 2 stars to my book, I shouldn't really let that get better of me. So our design is to focus on struggles, on negativity, but we should use that, I believe, to become better, to serve better, instead of letting that take over our mind.
Well, I was doing, of course, some research for our time together today. And speaking of quotes, I pulled off this quote that you said, "Half of your happiness depends on conscious choices you make every day. Choose that with time. Choices that with time become habits. Half of your happiness depends on conscious choices you make every day. Choices that with time become habits." So what are some habits that you have been personally practicing on the last 6 months to navigate this time?
Several. So what I want to do is to have hope, to preserve courage, to remain inspired. And so for that, I want to have pragmatic positivity, to have the energy to keep going. So when I wake up, before I leave the bed, I usually think about a few people in my life who I'm grateful for. I often think about my wife, even though she may be sleeping by my side, and I send her a silent gratitude for something good she has done. So our connection is more affiliative, not transactional, when we meet first thing in the morning. So that's one. 2 is I try to cultivate curiosity throughout the day. Notice now we have fall and winters are coming, so the colors and different things that nature has to offer. I try to send kind attention or silent kind wishes to people who I see that uplifts me, even people I see on the television. And I try try to reframe very quickly any negative thought. Try not to think bad about anybody, of course. So those are some of the mind-based practices. I don't think I've ever exercised as much as I do now to help my immune system. I am eating healthier, and I'm taking a micronutrient supplement. I'm sleeping a little bit more. We've changed filters in our home, air filters, to make sure we get good, clean air. And I'm just doing more work in terms of trying to reach out and help people. So all that has been helping me. Sometimes I tease simple living, low thinking. I think it's simple living, good thinking. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, it reminds me of another quote, says that life is simple. We just insist on making it complicated. And, what you said is truly, I talk about these habits in my first book, Wellness on a Shoestring, 7 Habits for a Healthy Life, that came out 10 years ago. Rest, reflect, rejuvenate. So we talked about sleep, and we know that sleep increases your immune system by 6 times, plus it helps your mental health. And then breathing and making sure you're getting good breath in, and quality of air you're breathing, not kind of stale air. And then, of course, moving. And that's what I'd say, that's been one of the gifts I've noticed, more people moving, because they're, not out at, they're not out in big groups. They're just out walking a lot, or more people have been on bikes. So those are 3 of the first 7 habits. And so it's another reason why we really connect there. What do you think some of your gifts of COVID have been? When you look back 10 years from now and you are able to zoom out on this experience, what will be some of the gifts you take away?
Yeah, so I had an experience. This is pre-COVID, and COVID reminded me again, because mind has a tendency to forget. So our flight took off from Chicago, and when it was midair, the landing gear failed to engage. So the captain, and there were all kinds of sounds coming as the captain was trying to move the wheels. And we didn't know what was happening. And he said, there's a mechanical problem. He didn't tell what, and we have to land the plane. And those 15, 18 minutes, you can imagine, because you don't know what mechanical problem is, and you don't want to be part of a wreckage somewhere and a headline news the next day, right? So it really reminded me of my priorities. Personally, what I realized, and this is not to force anybody, is love and faith is all I could remember. Everything else, all the critiques, all the kudos, the small accomplishments, etc., they were all so far behind in memory. And love that I was able to share, and love that I withheld. I felt bad about that love. So COVID has again reminded me of that life is precious, life is transient, things change very quickly. We are all, as you started, Michelle, as you said, we are all in the same storm on different boats. And I think that's a good way of looking at it. So I think prioritizing relationships is what I have learned as the core message. 3 relationships: relationship with others, relationship with self, and relationship with what you consider sacred. I think if we can find ways to integrate these 3 relationships and live them truly, COVID, when we look back, 10 years from now, maybe we will have moved and become a better society because of it.
Yeah. Tell me about your daughter, and what would you say she would say? I'm just curious from the different generations, because I have the feeling you have thoughtful conversations.
Yeah. So yes, she started off very upset because of this, understandably so. She's 16. She's an 11th grader. She feels like a whole year has been stolen. She's very gregarious. She likes to connect with people, so she's not able to connect. And we have a very unique situation where we have elderly grandparents staying with us. So we just cannot afford to have the virus in our home, because my parents are in their mid-80s and my in-laws are in their late 70s. So we have 4 sets of grandparents with us right now. We've not needed a UN peacekeeping force yet, so we are okay. So she got it, and this has been the most nurturing time for her, because this is so unique that she got to spend so much time with her grandparents. That's one. The other thing is she got involved with me in some resilience work to bring it to elementary school students. She finds that to be very meaningful. She realized that all this getting ready in the morning, driving to school, and then coming back, that has saved her maybe about an hour or two during the day. So she's grateful for that. She certainly misses friends. So I think that's the key. All in all, she would certainly want this to be over soon, but there is stuff to be grateful for.
You know, it's interesting. We are in the middle of this kindness campaign, and we're just a few weeks out from Thanksgiving, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. We're working on a gratitude campaign for those of you listening today. I've been hearing you. People have been emailing me and saying, "Can you continue this longer? Not just 31 days. Can we continue longer?" So we're working on something, and you talk about gratitude. I want to back up our conversation, and I want to talk about neural traps. You know, what keeps people trapped and stuck, and kind of in those vicious cycles. Can you talk about what neural traps mean? Neural traps, not tramps, traps.
That's okay. That's all right. You're human. We are human. So basically, our ancestors had to prioritize survival and safety over peace and happiness. So that's the kind of brain we have inherited, which is really focused on survival and safety. That has created three traps in the brain. Partly that has created one I've already talked about, which is negativity bias. We're focusing on obsession with negative. The second is we have a network in the brain called the default network that hosts mind wandering. So you may have experienced sometimes, you know, you are telling two things to a partner and they look totally blank because their mind went somewhere else. Or you're reading a book, you read half a page, you say, what was I reading? You're really trying to focus. Or if you've tried meditation, those thoughts that keep coming every 10, 15 seconds, they're hosted by a network in the brain. And that network is very powerful. And we know now that the more active that network is, greater our risk of all the negative emotions and even dementia. So that is the second trap, which is the focus trap. The third trap is the fatigue trap. So very important to realize that our brain gets tired in about 90 minutes. When you're doing something that takes your focus and engaging work, your brain needs rest. 90 minutes. We don't give our brain rest. So sometimes if you feel wiped out by 6 o'clock in the evening, it is because your brain is really, really tired. So focus, fatigue, and fear, those are the three traps. What that has told me is that I actually prioritize giving my brain uplifting emotions of some kind, cue 90 minutes. I don't wait for the end of the day to give me something. So I sprinkle those multiple times during the day, and we call them rum moments because you get rest, uplifting emotions, and motivation during those times. So rum. So we invite people to sip a little bit of rum multiple times during the day, but it's a different kind of rum.
I love acronyms. So thank you for doing that. Focus, fear, fatigue. You know, I actually have a little stickum here with the word fatigue on it. I've been hearing that word a lot the last week. I mean, really, I mean, it's like this word that keeps coming after me. What does the word fatigue mean to you?
So you imagine walking around lifting 100 pounds all day long. What's going to happen to your back and your shoulders? They will be drained, right? They'll be strained. Brain is doing equivalent of that right now all day long. Most people have 150 undone tasks. There's so much emotional issues, so much to worry about. So an average person has a lot of cognitive and emotional overload. And our brain is not designed to lift that load. So that's why brain gets fatigued. The way you get to know you're fatigued is very indirectly because brain doesn't have pain receptors for itself. So you are not able to focus. You're not enjoying what you're doing. You stretch, you yawn, you have a desire for coffee. You want to eat even though you're not hungry. Those are signs that you're developing mental fatigue. Then your eyes start getting tired. They feel gritty. Words jumble together. You can't focus. And then you become irritable. You become less productive, less creative. Those are all early signs of fatigue. If you allow this to happen, eventually it can set in a process of neurodegeneration, eventually predisposing even to dementia. So we would like to take care of fatigue. And the other thing is, think about the last time you said something silly. You said, Michelle, what was I thinking? Why did I say that? Most likely it happened when your brain was tired. We do the silliest things. We say the most unkind things when either we are very tired or we are very angry, often both.
Well, I think that sums up the last 24 hours when you think about, gosh, I might have people not have had the best food. And I'm even stumbling with my words because I didn't have the best sleep last night. I didn't eat the best yesterday. So I'm back on track today. That's why I'm so glad that I had you on the show today to help me battle the mental and it's really a mental fatigue. It's not the physical fatigue that you're talking about.
Our body has a lot of reserve. Our body starts giving a serious fatigue signal when we are at about 60% of our maximum effort, and so our physical body has a lot of reserve. Think about this: when you're running on a treadmill. And try this. I mean, I've tried this, and I'm running at, let's say, 6 miles an hour, and I've gotten like 8-9 minutes, and I'm getting tired, and I say, okay, I will, and I really want to stop, and I say, okay, I commit my last 1 minute to all the parents who are going to take their children to the ER today, in their memory, in their honor, and I hope their children feel better. I'm just going to run for 1 more minute. I find that energy from nowhere. Never had fatigue. It has always worked. So the moment you add meaning to what you're doing, it takes away fatigue. So the challenge I have for you is, if you had a very high cost sports car, $100,000 car, it's sinful, I think, sometimes, but let's say if you have that, what kind of fuel are you going to put into that car? Is it going to be, dirty fuel, the lowest possible cost, or will it be the highest quality fuel? And it'll be the highest quality fuel. So your body is like that sports car, and your thoughts, your breath, the air you inhale, the water you drink, and the food you eat, you want to put the best quality fuel in this phenomenally precious sports car that our body is.
Well, it is an amazing machine, and we are right on track with that. And I want to give a shout out to one of our new community partners on this show, Community America Credit Union. They do so much more than credit. They do mortgages, they do retirement plans, they do business checking, personal checking. So I want to give out a shout to them because when we think about, when I'm teaching Dr. Sood, I talk about mechanical, chemical, energetical, psychospiritual, kind of like driving that car down the road. So mechanical health, how you're moving, like motion is lotion, taking care of your nervous system by the way you sleep at night, the posture, and then chemistry, how you're fueling your body, what you're putting on your body. And then we have, and that's what our partner with Advent Health is about, kind of like Mayo Clinic. They're a hospital system and they believe in whole person health. And we had Renee McKinney on last week who talked about the mental health that we're dealing with for their behavioral science department. And then we have the energy, and energy is, it's hard to see it, but like we're having this energy exchange, which is uplifting me and hopefully uplifting you, hopefully uplifting people that are putting something positive in their mind at this time. And there's an energy exchange that's like money. And so we're so grateful that Community America came on as our energy quadrant sponsor. And then, of course, we have the psycho-spiritual aspect, which talks about the thoughts you're having. And just like you said, when you get up in the morning, you're sending your wife basically love and sprinkling her before you ever get out of bed. What a positive way to start the day, right?
Yeah, I personally feel, and what you're describing is, it sounds like a four wheels of an automobile, mechanical, chemical, energy, and psycho-spiritual. So, and it's an all-wheel drive. All the wheels have to be working fine for it. So, yeah, I realized, so we've been married 27 years, that our connection in the morning, for example, had become very transactional. Kids, food to be packed and who to be dropped at school and who is late, who is, so I don't like transactional connections. They don't uplift me. I like affiliative connections. So where we end up uplifted together. So I said, how do I do that? Then what I realized was the way brain needs to find novelty. Now, if you've been married 15 years, then you know novelty fades. That's just the way it is. So then how do I find that novelty? And so we have a couple of practices actually in the Resilient Option program. But here I said, okay, what I'm going to do is every morning I'll remind myself something good she has done. And I learned this from a patient of mine. See, the saddest word I've ever heard, I think, are from this gentleman who I saw who said, I divorced the woman I loved. I'd been married with her for 20 years. I forgot how good she is. And I said, I'm not going to let that happen to me. So I need to remind myself every single day and before meeting the person. So then by the time you're meeting the person, it could be your spouse, it could be your child, it could be your parent, it could be grandparent or colleague or neighbor. So you are already feeling good about that person, and that person gets that energy. And then you get into, as they call, upward spiral. You've got good conversation. Worse is you mess up the first minute or two in connecting, and then you're busy recovering for the next 15 minutes.
You know, that is my takeaway today, is if you are going to have a conversation with somebody via Zoom or in person, to think about some of the positive interactions you've had before. Thank you. That is, so I hope that you just heard that. So I kind of want to just repeat it one more time, is basically you put in good thoughts, good energy into a conversation before you have it. So you go into that already feeling uplifted, which brings more energy into the relationship, which will make it more win-win.
Absolutely. And at work, the way we translate this is, I believe one of the best ways to prepare for a meeting is to remind yourself, why are you grateful to the person you're going to meet? 10 seconds investment outside the door. The moment you're knocking at the door, I share this with my physician colleagues. Before you see the patient, just remind yourself, okay, why am I grateful to Miss Smith? And the moment you remember, oh, I'm grateful to her because she trusts me with her care, because she's here beating all the odds, traveling 80 miles just to come and talk to me. That will immediately bring you into the moment. And she will get that. And you will walk away feeling uplifted with affiliative sort of good feeling, energizing.
That's a mic drop. That is truly, it's one of the best things I've heard in the last 60 days. It's really just putting that intention. And I use an app on my phone, and everybody's heard me talk about it before. I'm just going to pull it up so I can see it real quick here. It's called the 5-Minute Journal. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have heard of it. I've not used it, but yes.
Yeah. People ask me, why do I love that app? First of all, I have horrible penmanship, so I don't have to write in a journal. And that's really good for me because I have a little OCD on that. But I like it because it says, what am I grateful for? And I feel like, you know, for me, I always say I'm a white woman in America. How lucky am I, right? And my friend Barnett Hellsberg, one of my mentors, he says, you know, you were born, you won the sperm lottery, you're in America. So, which is important to remember today. And that's one thing, but also I'll think about, what am I grateful for? I can use my hands. My heart's beating. I'm able to walk. I'm able to I have normal bowel movements, all those little body functions, because this is an amazing machine. But the second question it asks, Dr. Sood, which I think is even more powerful, and it goes to what you said, it says, what will you do to make today great? And so if I could take that question as, what am I going to do to make this interaction with Dr. Sood great, or with Desiree great, or Emily, that is just a game changer.
Absolutely. I think one of the best ways to be happy is to be a source of it. And one of the best ways to be a source of happiness is to find a way to make someone else happier. That's the best way to be happy.
Well, I want to just take a moment to recognize we're in a historical day here in the United States of America, and we don't know the outcome of our presidential race right now. But I want you to help us have hope right now, because we talk about celebrate, guide, connect, hope. We know how to find you. Resilient Option, put on the screen here, resilientoption.com. You can go to resilience, and is it 100 or 1,000?
100. There's no space between resilience and 100.
Okay, we'll fix that so that people are able to have some resources right now. Please take advantage of these wonderful tools to help you have energy through this next 6 or 8 weeks that we move through what some people are calling a hard time. If we have to go back on lockdown, what kind of tools? I'm thinking about, what am I going to do? You know what? I'm tired of watching Netflix. I'm gonna go back to puzzles. I'm tired of dialing into my phone. So my conversation this week was, what am I going to do different? So I'm challenging all of you to do the same thing there. Give us some hope of how to navigate no matter who wins tonight or tomorrow. How do we move forward?
Yeah, we were, are, and will stay the United States of America. We've had it much worse, and we have overcome it. Different world wars, different civil wars, and so on. We have wonderful role models to remind us, the likes of Martin Luther King Jr., the likes of Harriet Tubman, the likes of Mother Teresa or Abraham Lincoln or Helen Keller. So we can look at a lot of role models to remind ourselves how we can remain strong through adversity. And the key is to tend and befriend and come together during these difficult times. And there is no doubt that if we choose to, see, if I'm focusing on my pain and you're focusing on your pain, we stay in our pain. But if you focus on my pain and I focus on your pain, we start healing each other. And in the process of healing each other, we heal ourselves. So I think the key is to find ways, paths to heal each other. So we heal ourselves. We're all equal in this together. And so that's how I'm actually looking at calling 2021 as the year of healing and unity. That's how, so I'll be, creating some ideas, some programs, etc., to help people experience that. In terms of a logistical way, what I'm thinking of doing in the very short term, I'm waiting for the vaccine to come, an effective vaccine. So I'm trying to optimize my physical body so it launches an optimal immune response to the vaccine. So I'm working on my immune resilience. So you can find, so we have actually created a whole program at immuneresilience.com. And it starts with micronutrients to stress resilience, happiness, balanced in physical exercise, sleep, relationships, pure body, and a potpourri of different ideas. So 8 different ideas sort of gel together. So that's what I am doing to really focus on something and taking back control from this nasty virus. I would not, I hope nobody gets exposed to this, but I hope that if you get exposed to it, if I get exposed to it, then it courses through us as a mild upper respiratory infection and nothing more.
Yeah, I have this visualization that I'm like Teflon, it bounces off me. So if I'm around the virus, I always say, it doesn't want any of this. I'm sleeping, I'm eating great most days. I did not eat great last night, but not too bad either. So it can't get in me because I'm going to repel it. So I really appreciate that. I want to start to wrap up the show, and I've got a couple more quick kind of questions for you. But once again, thank you so much for the wonderful wisdom. And as we move forward together as community, I love what you said. If you focus on my pain and I focus on your pain, we will start healing each other. And that's what we need. We need a deep healing for our families that have been divided, our communities, our kids. We definitely need it for our kids as well. That's the soil. We got to get into the soil so that these kids could have a different foundation. So a couple questions for you. If you had a magic wand, what would you do?
If I had a magic wand, I would make every human being universally compassionate, and every human being focused on collaborating to create a better world for our planet's children. I think that's our collective responsibility. That's what I would do. And I would also love for everyone to look past our differences and focus on the enormous, the profound similarities, commonalities we have. So I wish we get past all of them.
Ditto. I'm going to just air quote that. Ditto on that. Mm-hmm. As I've been thinking about this whole kindness campaign and even COVID-19, I realized that people have their own medicine. What medicine do you think that God, Spirit, Universe put inside Dr. Sood's soul to share with the world? What's your medicine?
What's my medicine? I think altruism, compassion, that is informed by science and is guided towards meaning. And that, I think, when combined with humility, helps you create good ideas, help more people, and not get easily tired, and also be open to feedback, good and bad.
If I put all that in one word, hope, would you say that might be your medicine?
Hope?
Hope? Yes.
I think that would be fair.
Yeah, well, the word that came to me having our third or fourth interaction now was I feel more hopeful from our conversation today.
I would say never give up. And the person who inspires me there is Eleanor Roosevelt, who my daughter loves her. She absolutely loves her, adores her. And so she sounds like that strong, resilient person with an identity of her own, very good intentions, driven. I mean, I don't know the politics about it, etc., but she gives me this can-do attitude, never give up, humble but strong, humble but passionate and confident. We need a lot of people like that to create a world where your children are loved by me as much as they are loved by you.
Well, friends, I hope that you found this as inspirational as I have found it today. It's exactly the shot of medicine is the vaccine I needed today to help me bounce back. And so I love the mic drop. And Jill, you're exactly right. It was a mic drop about putting into other people kind of the interaction. So that's my big takeaway today. I'd love to hear your big takeaway. Please share it in the comment section. Invite you to continue to join me on the kindness campaign. We're on day 23 tomorrow. I'll be going live in the morning and sharing what that's about. I have no idea what day 23 is about, to be totally transparent. I got a card over there, but I've not read it yet. So Dr. Sood, last question for you. Thank you again. You are a bright light, very bright light in this world. What quote would you share with what's something that inspires you, keeps you kind of heading in the right direction?
If I am blessed to be grateful, then I have a responsibility to be compassionate.
Ooh, say that again. If I'm blessed to be grateful today, then I have a responsibility to be compassionate. That's very nice. I've never heard that. Is that one of your own quotes?
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to have to tap. Well, actually, I found a quote today, one of your quotes to end the show with today, and I thought it was perfect. Too often we judge ourselves by the outcome rather than the intention and effort. So our intention today was to lift you up, to remind you that we're all one on this journey together. Dr. Amit Sood has delivered, like I thought he would, on a magical day today in our history. So too often we judge ourselves by the outcome rather than the intention and effort. Keep your intentions in the right direction, and that's where your attention will go. And hey, I'll chat with you next week as we start to round out our kindness campaign. Blessings to all of you.
Thank you, Michelle. Take care. Take care, everybody.